In this video, we will discuss vendor standards and expectations on how to fill out the Macy's vendor line list for Vendor Direct. The Macy's vendor line list, also referred to as the VLL, is a form provided to vendors to collect all information needed to set up products on Macys.com. This information includes UPC information, customer-facing copy and features and benefits, and attributes that drive search and navigation on the website. When all information is provided, the Macy's team is able to create pages quickly. However, the speed at which items are added to Macys.com is heavily dependent on vendors providing accurate, compliant, and complete information on the VLL. Please note that each team will have unique requirements specific to their area, so if you have any questions, you should work directly with your merchant partner. Any information that does not meet our requirements will not be processed. The VLL includes 4 tabs: Start, Vendor Line List, Validation, and Import. The Start tab is used by merchants to populate division-specific information, including hierarchy and attributes, before sending it over to the vendor. As a vendor, you do not need to do anything on this tab. Just ensure that the items you are adding correspond to the division listed on the form. The Vendor Line List tab is the only tab on which the vendor fills out information. The vendor is responsible for filling out any field indicated in yellow following the below steps. Step 1, add basic item information to add products into the Macy's catalog. Step 2, add customer-facing required information for Macys.com. Step 3, add features and benefits listed on the Macys.com product page. Step 4, add customer-facing product dimensions. Step 5, add shipping information. And Step 6, add product types and attributes. We will review each of these steps in detail later in this video. Additionally, the Vendor Line List tab has vendor validation macros that ensure information is complete and correct. These macros are located at the top of the sheet and drive error reporting in columns A and B. Column A acts as a progress bar, reading off all fields marked as required in row 186. Once all required fields are filled out, the cell will turn green and read complete. Column B acts as an error validation field. When the vendor hits the Vendor Validation button at the top of the sheet, any errors contained within that row populate into their respective cell in column B. Once no errors exist, the cell will turn green and read No Errors. As a best practice, the VLL should not be returned back to the merchant unless both column A and column B are green for all items. Lastly, pay attention to the merchant instructions and merchant example rows located above the header rows. Merchants will utilize these columns to provide specific instructions and examples to provide guidance on how to fill out this form based on your type of merchandise. The last 2 tabs are the Validation and Import tabs. These are used by your merchant once the VLL is returned. As a vendor, you do not need to do anything on these tabs. In the first section of the VLL, the vendor will enter in all information necessary to add UPCs to the Macy's catalog. The department number represents the Macy's department that the merchandise will be added to. This is a 3-digit number that your merchant partner will communicate to you. A few important things to note. First, the department you provide corresponds to the division listed on the Start tab. For example, if the Start tab reads dresses, you do not want to list a department number for swimwear. Please do not list all merchandise within your catalog on one file. Work with your merchant to understand how to separate your merchandise depending on the appropriate Macy's division and corresponding departments. Second, if you have items that exist across multiple departments, please ensure that the correct department number is listed. For example, Department 691 is for kitchen electrics and Department 696 is for cutlery. Third, the department number feeds attributes and product types that go into Step 6 of the vendor line list. If you do not provide the correct department in number format, your attributes will not populate. When in doubt, reach out to your merchant counterpart to ensure you're using the correct department number for the correct merchandise. The vendor number corresponds to the number you were assigned when onboarding to Macy's. Once again, if unclear, please double check with your merchant. The brand name is the customer-facing name of the merchandise brand on Macys.com. Please ensure that this field matches the brand name provided when initially registering as a Macy's vendor. The UCC ID is the number given by the Uniform Code Council to provide the vendor the legal right to add a UPC. All UPCs provided on the VLL should have a corresponding UCC ID if this field is marked as required by your merchant. Next, the vendor will provide the UPC and style number, known at Macy's as a PID. When filling out the form, the difference between UPCs and PIDs is incredibly important. All UPCs represent individual colors and/or sizes of an identical item. The style number, or PID, groups UPCs together based on what should appear on the same Macys.com page. Additionally, any images that you provide should be named based on the style information provided. If they do not match, they will not be processed. For example, if I have a KitchenAid mixer that comes in 3 different colors, all 3 colors would be listed as individual UPCs on the VLL. These 3 UPCs would be assigned the identical style number, or PID, and the exact same style description to ensure all of them are found on the Macys.com product page. To differentiate between UPCs, each line will have the corresponding unique NRF color code and color description. If you have a size business, such as apparel, NRF size codes and size descriptions will also need to be present to differentiate between different UPCs. If you are in a non-size business, such as furniture, you can simply list 0 for the code and no size for the description. To visualize how UPCs are grouped under the same PID, vendors can press the PID grouper button at the top of the page. This will highlight the top row in white and color all other rows assigned to the same PID and PID description in gray. Please note that this functionality will not work if similar items are not listed together. After all item information is correctly added, the vendor will add all customer-facing required information. This information feeds directly to Macys.com exactly as it is written on the vendor line list. Please validate that information is correct and formatted exactly as it should be seen on the site. For additional guidance on these fields, please reference merchant examples as well as the Universal Copywriting Guide and legal cheat sheets. The first field is the customer-facing PID description. This is the product name that will appear on the site exactly how it is written on the spreadsheet. Typically, this description should follow the formula collection plus keyword plus item name. Do not use any abbreviations, and please ensure the initial letter of each word is capitalized. Additionally, take this as an opportunity to use keywords to drive SEO relevancy. The item name should correspond with how a customer would naturally search on our website. The next column is the customer-facing color name that appears on the website. When writing this, ensure that it uses initial caps only and does not include any abbreviations or misspelled words. Then we have our long description/romance copy. This is a short blurb located on top of the features and benefits bullets that engages the customer by telling them a little more about the product. Keep this description short. It should not be above 300 characters in order to create an ideal experience on the mobile app view. Tone should be friendly, engaging, and highlight what the benefits are to the customer. This is also a great opportunity to optimize your copy for search engines. Use words that customers naturally use when looking for an item. Fabric care is a bullet that appears on the product page. While the label is fabric care, this applies to all products, even if they do not contain any fabric. For this field, simply select one of the options from the drop-down menu. Fabric content also applies to all products, even those that do not contain fabric. Enter what the product is made of, keeping all content in one column. Include information for linings and trims if applicable, separating out each part of the item with a semicolon. If there are multiple materials, list in order from highest to lowest, but do not include percentages. Country of origin references where the item was made. Make a selection from the provided drop-down menu. If the country your item was weighed is not listed, simply select Imported. The warranty column indicates whether or not the item comes with a warranty. In this column, select Y or N from the drop-down menu. Most importantly, if the item does have a warranty, please enter the warranty information into an F&B bullet in the next section. Lastly, if your item comes with any legal warnings, please select from the drop-down menu in the Legal Warnings column of the VLL. This is particularly important for areas like toys, which need to legally disclose information about choking hazards. The next step is Step 3. Add features and benefits listed on Macys.com product page. Features and benefits are customer-facing bullets that appear on the Macy's product page. These bullets should not repeat information already provided in Step 2. F&B bullets should be a maximum of 256 characters each and provide helpful information about the product that the customer wants to know. Bullets should be listed in the order that they should appear on the website and should be spell-checked and grammatically correct. Make sure the bullets contain no special characters or abbreviations. For more guidance on how to write your F&B bullets, please reference any merchant-provided examples, the Universal Copywriting Guide, and similar pages on Macys.com. In Step 4, the vendor will add customer-facing product dimensions. Customer-facing product dimensions are required for any big-ticket furniture items. All other areas do not need to complete these columns. These columns populate the product dimensions section of the product pages underneath the normal F&B bullets to aid customers when making a furniture purchase. As a reminder, these bullets are customer-facing and will populate the page exactly as written. Depending on your product, please disclose any dimensions a customer would need to know. For example, a couch would include metrics such as seat depth, arm height, seat length, and approximate total dimensions. For more guidance on how to write your product dimensions, please reference any merchant-provided examples and any pages for similar items on Macys.com. For Step 5 on the VLL, please provide any shipping information available. Indicate in the first column if the item is shipped using multiple boxes by selecting Y or N from the drop-down menu. From there, continue to enter the length, width, height, and weight of each box used to ship an item. For the last step, the vendor will provide product types and attributes for each item listed. These are important because they drive search and navigation on Macys.com. If items are not assigned accurate attributes, customers will literally not be able to find your product on the website. In order for attributes to populate, the correct division must be listed on the Start tab, the correct department number must be entered in Step 1, and a product type must be selected for the item. First, select a product type from the drop-down menu. If nothing appears in the drop-down menu, please double-check that you have a valid department value to enter in Step 1. Once the product type is selected for all items, click the Display Attributes for Products macro at the top of the spreadsheet. This will cause all relevant attribute buckets to display on the VLL. Any box that is yellow is available to tag, and any box that is gray is not available. Based on your item, some attribute buckets listed on top may not be relevant. For more specific guidance, please reference the attribution cheat sheets provided to you by your merchant partner. To assign an attribute, simply select a value from the drop-down menu. You can assign multiple values by selecting the first, then selecting the second from the drop-down. If you need to delete a value, press the Delete button on your keyboard. Once a value has been selected, you are able to copy and paste the value into other rows to minimize the number of individual clicks you need to make on the spreadsheet. Just ensure that the value remains consistent and that you do not type over it or make any changes. This will ensure the value is compatible with the format needed in Macy's systems. One of the most important attributes to note is Prop 65. If your item has materials that are required to be disclosed under Prop 65, select Yes under this attribute bucket. Once complete, click the Create Prop 65 macro located at the top of the template. This will generate a template that will allow you to enter the appropriate Prop 65 warning for each item designated as Yes and email it to prop65agent@macys.com as per company standards. Once all fields are complete, double-check your work by running the vendor validation macro at the top of the spreadsheet. This will scrub the VLL for any errors and populate them in column B. Continue to correct and run the vendor validation macro until all fields are green. Lastly, make sure to run spell check for all customer-facing information in Step 2 and Step 3. Once again, this data will populate to the website exactly as written, so validate that everything is spelled correctly and is grammatically correct. After all information is complete, correct, and validated, you may return the VLL to your Macy's merchant partner, allowing them to create pages and make your items available to sell on Macys.com. We hope you find this video useful as you continue to fill out the vendor line list and start your vendor direct business with Macy's. To reiterate, if you have any questions, please reach out to your merchant counterpart.